peeps, welcome to Heart Talks. I'd like you to meet my friend Michael Harrell. Michael and I first met at the Sasquatch research group, and so we are definitely kindred spirits in that aspect. But what I really want you to hear about him is not only the history of his pre-birth, but he has been given a glance, an understanding of history in a way that it's not your grandmother's history, that's for sure. And I've got to spend lots of time with Michael, and I get so fascinated with his chats that it goes on for hours and I don't want to stop. So I decided I would share him with you today. So welcome, Michael. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, this is all kind of fun. Thank you for having me on.
Well, okay. And, here again, we could just go on and on and on for days, but we're going to try to condense this down into some sections. Michael, your awareness of not just your birth, but the pre-birth is pretty fascinating, and I think we should just jump in and get this story started.
Okay. Well, as you know, I have this teacher training that I have on YouTube called Language Lessons of the Heart. And by doing that processes that I teach in that Language Lessons of the Heart, back in the 90s, actually, one of the side effects, aside from becoming like a more or less normal adjusted person, was some of these processes allow you to get your memory back because you're resolving trauma. And a lot of things that happened in prehistory and in our other incarnations involve trauma. So when you start to release your inner pain, the memory comes back of what that pain was. And if you can stay in that pain long enough, then the memory just keeps going back and back and back because the patterns repeat until you get all the way to what's called the original pattern or the authentic pattern or the primal pattern. And I'm not the only one who's done this. Many people have done this, but most people keep quiet about it because it's all painful. There's a lot of painful stuff. So we have this great light and bliss and truth, and we all love that stuff. But what holds us back or hurts us is pain. And what has shaped the history of humanity has been pain and trauma. And society is based on denying that pain. Denying pain, denying suffering, while at the same time causing it. So one of the things that you and I talked about before we started recording was I have memory that goes back to the time of Atlantis, well, actually to the time of Egypt, to the time of Atlantis, to the time of Lemuria, and to the time when things started getting really bad. The war in Lemuria was when actual beings came on this planet and started manipulating our consciousness through trauma, planned trauma. But the only way they could do that, okay, the only way these bad guys could do that was because our behavior patterns were already predestined to, there's behavior patterns that were inside us, like we avoid pain, right? And we wish to idolize the light and demonize the darkness. That is already in us. And so what Sasquatch people call, and what some other people call, I think the Essenes, or the Essenes, they call them the lower lords too. or the archons, what they did is they capitalized on our existing tendency to deny pain in preference of bliss and happiness. And then they built civilization on that, denial of pain. So to understand how pain and trauma came to be such a rampant thing, it's in everything. It's in your mortgage, it's in your car payments, it's in the way you raise your kids, it's in the government, it's in religion, it's in man and wife, it's in relationships, it's in parents to children. It's all this pain and then the denial of pain. We cause, like America causes war, and we think we're the good guys. We're killing millions of people, and we think we're the home of the free. We cause trauma, and then we deny that we cause it. We experience trauma and suffering and stress, and then we deny that we have it. And this has crippled us spiritually. It has bifurcated us from balanced individuals of the man and the woman, light and the dark, to only man, only light. Only man, only light. And so that right there, it crippled us in terms of intuition, the spirit world. The spirit world people are like freaking out because they're starting to see for the first time in, 50,000 years, but then you got to go back another 200,000 years. They're seeing for the first time an opening for the spirit world to be accepted. In order for the spirit world, you can't access the spirit world from the light side only. You're only going to access the light beings from the light side only. But this is Earth. This is the wheel polarity, and there's all these beings: the four-legged creatures, mountain beings, sky beings, air beings, cloud beings, dolphins and whale beings, and earth element beings, and all these guys, right? And then, they say, oh, the light, but you also have the ET people coming in. And all those are accessed not by the love and light side of our brain. They're accessed by the feminine side, the emotional side, the feeling side. And with that side starting to be recovered, then you can have access. You can love a tree. I remember in the 1960s, the tree hugger was like a horrible thing. You were like this horrible, dirty hippie.
Yes.
That loved a tree. Yeah. Or there's people who talk, like you talk to water. Well, what's the matter with that guy? He's insane talking to the water. Right. Yeah? You have this Dr. Emoto. He did this whole thing of like, well, look, if you talk to the water, guess what? It talks back and it becomes beautiful. You can heal water by talking to it. So now it's like a scientific fact.
Yeah. Yes.
Hmm. So today I'm going to talk about the original pattern of before the Dark Lords got here, before the Archons, before the bad guys, and everybody who was tuned in spiritually could take advantage of our propensity to be traumatized and then deny our trauma. So that goes all the way back to we're now we're in the tail end of the second creation. And we all know this. We all know the creation myth. There's the God and the Godhead. There's a hierarchy of angels, and then there's a hierarchy of spirits, and then there was a war in heaven. There's that soul memory of that, and then from the war in heaven got really bad, and then we descended to earth. Everybody kind of has that in their memory. But that's actually the second creation. We're at the tail end of the second creation now. And we're getting ready to go into the third creation, which is kind of cool. That hasn't really happened in the evolution of human beings or the evolution of the earth before. But the pattern of the first creation, where God and heart and the father of manifestation and the mother of everything, they all got together and they made planets and galaxies and they made these kind of things. And when I tell this story, I want you to understand that this is a myth. It's a healing myth. You cannot take what actually happened and translate that into words. So this is a myth. It's a healing myth, or it's a historical myth that you have to feel it and feel the vibration of what's really going on, because you can't put galactic events happening into words. And so we use beings, God the Father, God the Mother, heart, and to us we translate heart as like the Jesus guy or the Buddha guy, the heart of creation. Mm-hmm. God the Father is the light God of thought, the I am. God of Mother, she's the one that's not talked about much, but she's the important mother of everything. And almost nobody talks about the Father of manifestation. That guy is one of my favorites. Absolutely one of my favorites. Because everything has form. He's the God of form.
The God of form.
Spirit, the God of form. Every spirit has a form. If you're an invisible, floating around gaseous spirit, you still have form. You have the form of your identity, the form of words, the form of creation, the form of light, the form of music. You see, the form of government, the form of pain. Everything has form. So the thought, even thought has forms, thought forms. So for thought to manifest into reality, it has to take on form. And that's what the Father of manifestation is. And for us, our body is form. We take on this form. So form is seriously cool dude. Yeah, and so with form, going back to the pain thing, if we're holding trauma and stress and denial, it is form that has to hold it. Our body has to hold it. That's what a lot of illness comes from. Right. So to understand Father of manifestation, form, really goes a long way to understanding health and how like I said, that Dr. Emoto, how words affect the water molecules. So traumatic words will create messed up molecules, and loving gratitude words will create helpful, beautiful, see? And this is all, the water bag is you. You call it, your body is what records and holds all the different vibrational frequencies and all the thoughts, all the beliefs, all the judgments, all the trauma, and the balance of whether it's accepting and loving and a gratitude, or whether it's denied, trauma, pain, suffering, and insanity. Yeah, that all is vibrated in your body. It's your main tool. I like to give body a boost because we're such a spirit dominant people, and the body takes a beating because the body and the will polarity are really close, right? The will polarity is in your belly. So when you go to manifest a baby, it's your body and will, right? Your sexual organs and your physical body. You could be drunk and make a baby. You could be, you see what I'm saying? So you don't have to have this spirit thing. You could do it just body and will. So body's a pretty big deal. I like body. Everything, how to put it another way. This is my house, right? This house belongs to body because body owns body. But everything that you experience in the universe belongs to the Father of manifestation. What is manifested is is body's house, God the Father's house. A lot of people don't think about that. So when you look at Mother Nature, the form of Mother Nature is the Father of manifestation. So that's God's house that Mother Nature lives in. Pretty powerful when you start working with those guys.
Well, that's how you see it when you know, talk and listen to the water, talk and listen to the trees.
Yeah.
I mean, there is some basic understanding that it's possible, and an honor.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And it's your body that does it.
Okay,
Not
so
an intellectual thing. But anyway, we want to get back to all this. So this is all the patterns of what's going on in the world today and how it got that way.
right.
And so we're talking about the second creation, where God the Father and Heart, they're planning out how to make planets and how to do this and how they're going to populate it and what this is. They did all that. That's all the second creation. But it's the first creation. The first creation before God was the God that he is. And a lot of people don't remember that because it takes a shitload of concentration to get to go into that pain and to stay in it and stay conscious. And even I have, there's places in there that I have not reached. I know people who have reached it, but anyway, you have to go back to the beginning. Before there was a God, this is the first creation. Before there was a God, before there was anything, before there was consciousness, before there was awareness. So there's a time when, like, we depend on awareness. We even are aware that we're asleep. So there's before awareness. There was a great void. And the scale, it's hard to describe the scale because the scale of this was, right now the physicists talk about a multiverse, about many, many, many universes existing within, or existing simultaneously with this one. But this is before that. Before that, every universe would fit into the void, which is not void. It's actually absolute inclusivity and unconditional love. That is the ground of being. And it is the darkness. What the Zen talk about is the blissful clear light of the void. There's no, you don't.
Now we're back.
Okay, what's the last thing you heard?
Okay, so we're into the void of
Okay,
unconditional love.
right. Absolute inclusivity and unconditional love. So that's the ground of being, and I was trying to put it on a scale. It's so big, it's so massive that we cannot put it in human terms. It's not a human attribute to it at all. It's so vast and so, it's like so vast. Like we don't really think of, like from here to Andromeda, we cannot conceive the actual in miles in distance. But this is all of creation, all of galaxies. Like our galaxies is part of a supercluster of galaxies. So all of our this galaxy, first of all, our galaxy isn't the Milky Way, but our galaxy is part of a supercluster of galaxies. They're all connected by this magnetic field, this magnetic connection between the mother. So just talking about vast. Okay, so you imagine the vast nothingness, and that holds everything, absolute inclusivity, everything that ever was, ever will be, ever could be imagined, everything that manifested, everything unmanifested, every being and every non-being, every aspect, everything is inclusive in that, but nothing manifested at all. So there's no identity, there's no location, there's no quality, there's no attribute. And we can't think about that. We can't, because we think of attributes and reference to ourself, and you can't think about that. So as I was saying earlier, that this is a metaphor of consciousness, but the metaphor that I'm using is is magnetic and electric. You have electromagnetism. Light is electromagnetic. You cannot have electricity without magnetism. And anytime you have electricity, it has a magnetic field, right? Electromagnetism. And in this case, it's the man and the woman. It is the God the Father and God the Mother. And the mother is magnetic in the darkness. And it's her magnetic energy that creates light. So the mother is actually the creator of light, which is, she's also the creator of consciousness. So before she had consciousness, she had yearnings and stirrings for consciousness. She wanted an other. Even though you can't use words because her stirrings and yearnings and longings weren't words. They are more like magnetic flickers of non-information and other magnetic flickers of non-information that only later became a desire or a will or a wish or a want or a fear or an insecurity or a wondering or an aloneness. See? Only later did that come up. Okay, so when she had these yearnings, stirrings, that electric field, that magnetic field, I'm sorry, was vast. So you're talking about something way on one side of the universe and something way on the other side of the universe barely moved. But that barely moving created a current. So you have, anytime the magnet moves, it creates current. And the current is, then you have electromagnetism. So all current is a form of light. Light is electromagnetism. Right? But we're also talking about, this is a metaphor for consciousness. So we're actually talking about consciousness and physical light. So here she is in this great ground of being, of possibilities, and yearning for something other than herself. Because she doesn't even know what self is, but there's a yearning there. So what happens? Now this goes on for eons and eons and eons and eons of time. The time scale is also not human. You know, there's no time, there's no location, there's no nothing. So what happens is once the electric current starts to move, anytime you have a moving electric current, it automatically has a magnetic field around it. So even though the current is moving very minutely, the magnetic field is still around it. Yeah? In a way, it's sort of like an embryo. The whole mother is around this one little embryo. Right? So, and then as the current, as the magnetic field, the mother energy is like encompassing, it makes the current stronger, right? So it constricts the current down stronger. So there's the same vast as say 5,000 galaxies gets squeezed down to the size of one galaxy, still imperceptible. And the constriction of the magnetic forces, the mother wishing, yearning, wanting to connect, wanting to give birth, wanting to unite, wanting a lover, wanting a mate, wanting her opposite. And yet, remember, she still has no identity, and she has no location. There is no mind there. So that goes on, this constriction goes on, and as it goes on, when the current gets stronger, it creates plasma. And plasma is the primal state of matter. Yeah. So you have solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. Plasma is the primary, and plasma comes in three vibrational frequencies, which is invisible, in glow mode, and arc mode. Stars are in glow mode. all stars in glow mode. But the majority of the universe is plasma in the dark mode. Yeah. So plasma starts coming into the dark mode. Still no consciousness of the father, no consciousness of the mother, nothing. But what the man side, God the Father side, he was like because he hasn't himself illuminated yet, he was in some kind of like a meditative state, right? So, and he also has no identity. He has no self. He has no self-reflection. And he has no location. Remember, there's just this great river of electric current flowing from one side of the whole universe to the other. Great river. And it's huge. I mean, like I said, it's just so huge. And this constriction is going so slowly that both the darkness and the light aren't conscious of what's going on. They are unconscious of this phenomena. Now, it is the moving current of, thoughts are yeah. You hear me?
Yep, I'm back.
Yeah, so thoughts are electric and feelings are magnetic. So you have a little tiny electric current to have a thought, and it's fueled by the magnetic of ourselves. So when the electric current of the universe moved, it was the beginning of pre-thought. And this was a nice feeling for electric. Electric likes to move because instead of being bound up in the magnetic poles of an unmoving magnet, it's now moving. And that feels good, because it's a manifesting thing. It's the male thing. It's the ejaculation. It's the movement. So, whatever, dominance. So this goes on for a while longer. Still, nobody knows anything about anything. But the light, what is not yet light, it's not yet light, it's not yet identity, likes this feeling. He really likes it. And just digging this feeling of this glow mode plasma. So there's enough of itself together to be the potential to form, but it hasn't formed yet. And it likes that state. Because most of the universe is in the dark mode, dark plasma. So this was really good for the light. So then what happens next is, because the amplitude of this, because it goes from this just plain current moving into a plasma state, the plasma wants to expand, and when it expands, it generates more magnetic field. And magnetic field constricts onto the plasma. And when the magnetic field gets stronger, the plasma gets constricted. And when the plasma gets constricted, it goes from dark plasma into glow mode. Glow mode is what stars are formed out of. But when you look at the sun, that is plasma in glow mode. Okay, now when that happened, that's where the Big Bang happened. Now this happened, it's on the scale, it's like everything happening all at one time, and it was just gigantic, okay? It was like
Let's stop recording here and restart for our part 2.
Okay.
I'm just going to stop the recording.
Can I go get a cigarette?
Sure. Okay. And then let's just start this whole thing over. Okay, so I visibly just broke down. I had to stop recording for a minute, but I've gained my composure here for a little bit.
I can't believe how brave you are. You have such a love and life show, and here you're asking Dr. Doom to talk to you.
Yes, but this is a subject that's so deep and alive within me. and I am very close with the mother, and I am fully aware that it is my connection with her, my memories that I have of being with her, that makes this a really core issue with me, and I'm not ashamed to say that this has hit me and that it has brought back memories and that it makes me cry. I'm not ashamed of that, and I would like for everybody who gets the opportunity to talk with you or in any way can have these memories come alive. It's an amazing thing. It really is, and I'm thank you, Michael, for getting me through this.
This is hilarious. I make people cry. I make women cry. I make women cry all the time, and then they thank me for it. It's a
Right?
every day, like that. It's a necessary thing because everybody wants to find it, everybody wants to find out what the dirt is until they realize that they have to feel the dirt.
Yeah.
Then, that's why people don't do emotional release work. That's why people are in so much denial, because the reality of what's been manifesting on earth is very, very painful, and it's been going on for too long now. And I want to put there's such a thing called harsh light and loving light. We've had the harsh light for a long time of judgment and blame. It's your fault, But the loving light is what's needed. Self-compassion and bringing the life of the mother back to her right place. Okay, so where were we? We were in the falling. This long time, and she's actually falling to her death. And the pain of, because see, when she was around God, what became God the Father, there was such hope and such love and such open, so completely innocent, completely open, completely vulnerable. It's the most, there's no way for us to get, like as an adult, we cannot be as vulnerable as a baby. We can't feel our emotions as much as a baby. So she's like the cosmic baby innocence that was hurt and falling to her demise. And the pain was so great that she had to cover herself. She had to stop the vibration of that pain. And there's news that she's let go of it recently, so I really don't know the whole story of it, but God the Father is now working on this stuff, and God the Mother has been working on this stuff. So everything I'm talking about, the ray of hope, is the reason why I'm talking about this, and the reason why this is happening now on earth is because in that realm, they've already done the healing work that it takes, right?
Right. So
to say it in a really quick way is whatever healing work we get to, whatever, all this stuff that's raining down on us, whatever healing work that we get to is, in fact, the Mother's final healing and God's Father. We're manifesting the final healing onto earth. And this is why we need to know about it. And as far as I know, there's only a handful of people. It came in waves with the primal screen people. And before the primal screen people, it was the Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung and then the holotropic breathwork people and the rebirthing people. And see, it came in waves. Yeah. And now you have language lessons of the heart, which is very condensed, very accurate, very precise, very eloquent of exactly do this, do that, and right? Because once the door is open to healing and the process of how you got hurt and how you got hurt, it can happen very fast. We're talking about healing in many lifetimes in a year and a half. You can heal all the way back to the beginning of creation. That has never happened on this planet as far as I know. So anyway, let's go back to the Godhead. So, because it's the pattern, remember, it's the pattern of planned trauma and stress denied. That's one of the patterns that we have, that we deal with, right?
Right. PDST.
Yeah, PTSD.
Yeah.
But that's one of the patterns of our ripped apart reality, right? So we have everybody, all the rich people are doing good, looking good, and all the poor people are like fucked, yeah. And none of the rich people are acknowledging at all. They do not acknowledge their complete denial of the suffering of the world, their complete denial of the suffering of the earth, their complete denial of pollution, their complete denial of all that stuff. And as a matter of fact, they go out of their way to make it worse. Okay, so we'll go back to God is expanding and coming into consciousness. And before he can say, I am God, he sent out his first light. And he sent out that first light to eliminate, destroy, hurt the mother. He didn't even know what it was. It was an it. It was a thing. It was a force. It was a field. Just get away from me, right? So when the first light went out, it went out with murderous intent, struck the mother in her heart. It was important to know that it struck the mother in her heart, because that pattern is still going on. And then that first light went back inside the father instantly. So it was it was just like a flash of the mind, so quick and so subconscious. So it was working on the subconscious of God even then. This thing, it went out, it did its thing and came back in. Now here's the God saying, I am, and he's starting to feel love. And there's a very tiny part of him that acknowledged that there was something that happened. Right? There was something that happened. And he could see this being leaving him, which was the mother of everything, which in the second creation was his wife. Right? So this, I'm describing domestic violence, or the first date rape, or you could go on with that scenario.
Right.
So he saw that she was hurt, but he could not find his cause. He could not find his cause in his light, because his light was loving light, and his light was brilliant and kind, and and he could not find his cause in her demise. He did not even recognize what she was. Yeah. So here he is blasting away by himself, being God, and this was him being God, her falling to her death, and him being God by himself went on for a very, very long time. And he kept growing and growing and getting more powerful, and saturating every corner of the universe, and feeling, perceiving everything, and everything he felt was love, and everything he felt was aggrandized. I am this, and look at where I am, and I am this powerful being, and I am the creator. I am the original one. Everything comes after me, and then all he sees is his own light. Yeah, and it felt good. So he did that for a long time, long time. And so he's like a man who becomes rich and powerful, but he's alone. So there's a loneliness that he had, And his great glory, his great Godhead that he had, was getting kind of shabby. It was getting kind of, the light wasn't as it didn't fill him the way he needed to be filled. He could actually feel his light dimming. And this went on, and now here again, we're talking about cosmic scale. It went to the dimming of his light went a very, 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 very long time, eons and eons. There's no record of how long this was, even though like you had that connection to it. It's still in the vast darkness of the beginning of creation, which is the first creation, and most of our understandings come from when we emerged in the second creation, when we emerged as spirits in the second creation. So this is the first creation. Okay, then eventually he started to lose power, and as he started to lose power, he couldn't stay in the Godhead anymore. His light was dimmed, because remember, it takes the magnetic energy to create the current. Without the magnetic current, he eventually dimmed down. He dimmed down, and now he's like wondering whether there's something wrong with me. You know, like how come my light isn't as powerful, you know? But it's still loving, it's still beautiful, I'm still the God. Yeah, so he's diminished, and then he starts to fall out of the Godhead, out of his right place. So he falls down and down. And eventually he meets her, who is basically dead. She has gone back into unconscious. She's gone back into, but she's tagged with, there's something wrong with me. She's tagged with, I'm not good enough. She's tagged with me, I don't deserve love. She's tagged with no matter what I do, it doesn't work. She's tagged, you know, see, all these are things. And then how could you not know this in advance? And all this self-judgment and all this self-denial. And then at the same time, there's this great longing for the other, and the yearning of the broken heart, and the yearning of if only could have been my because what she saw was the Godhead, and it was like the Prince Charming. She was the God on the white horse, and you know, he was the ideal as she is dying. So all this imprinting is happening to her, and that formed her original kind of self-image thing. And she knew she was receptive, and she couldn't be aggressive, and all this kind of stuff. And then she had parts of her that were saying, "Why didn't you fight back? And why do you take this shit? And why aren't you strong? You're stronger than he is. And why didn't you fight back? And why didn't you stand up for yourself?" All that. So she's got all these different stirrings are now coming to as voices to her, because she has a location. She has the formation of identity. Although she is the subconscious, she's still there, and she's still connected to everything. So eventually, God comes down to, they unite again. And when they do, it's a very gentle, soft reuniting. And that's the beginning of the second creation. That's when he recognizes her as his mate, and she because of his energy being around her, she was able to regain strength in her magnetic field, and she was able to hold his presence in her magnetic field, and allowed him to become the God that we know now. That's the beginning of the second creation. And it goes to the rest of that. You probably already know about the creation of the ancient ones, and the archangels, and the angels, and the ones that guard the light, and all the way down to all the manifested spirits, which happened sexually, by the way. It was like this connection between the father and the mother. It was like a sexual rush. It was like an orgasm kind of thing, and an increase in light, and the increase in light created us. But to go back to the first light. So that first light is what you call Lucifer. The first light of the sun, the first light of creation was Lucifer. And Lucifer's job was to eliminate the mother. So all the evil been done on this planet has got that eliminate the mother, hurt her kids, make her less, make her nothing, make her second class. God is the one that's the real, and God is, and she is in the second rate, second class, subconscious, subhuman, and if there's any way possible to hurt her or kill her or rape her or murder her or diminish her or crush her, that's what that light is. And that first light was God's first denial. So the whole time we've been on this planet, we've had this Luciferian pattern that God denies because he didn't see his involvement in that. So we have denial. I just became the host for a little while.
Way to go.
Host of Heavenly Host.
Right.
Well, anyway,
so we have learned where the original vibration of denial
was God's denial.
Was God's denial.
So he set Lucifer loose, which is with one job, and Lucifer was not fully conscious either. So Lucifer doesn't have any love. He wasn't in his creation. The first light of God in his creation, there was no love, no compassion. It was only conniving, want to eliminate, hurt, destroy, damage, diminish the will polarity, the mother polarity. And that's been going on for a very long time. And that, well, I don't want to get into the second creation, but where he hit her was in her heart. And so that means her children, any of the mother's children, have, so heart never was ever really manifested fully on this planet. Every Buddha, every Christ, every Thoth, every great love, every Gandhi, everybody who's ever been Martin Luther King, everybody who's ever been that heart presence, killed, murdered, you know what I mean? Destroyed. How many people have we that talk about love and light and love, being loving and having a heart? They get killed. That's what it is. That's the pattern,
Wow. And I mean, and bringing these days right here, look how we're everything is about the heart now, about healing the heart. My gosh.
Yeah. Anyway, this is not the totality of everything going on, because we live in a loving universe. Okay, I'm talking about one slice that for us is a gigantic big deal. This is one slice of the infinity of what God and the Mother were. Right? This is one huge slice, and the bad guys that came to Earth took this one scenario and made it into religion, made it into politics, made it into civilization, made it into why we're separated from Mother Earth, why mothers are second class, why children have to be punished. And so the fabric of our consciousness for the last 200,000 years, and then intensified really in the last 50,000 years, has been the same program of the first creation, which is the Luciferian energy and God still looking good and denial running rampant. So everybody's denied everything. Everybody denies everything. God's good, no matter how. In the middle of war, God's good. A denial of responsibility for the suffering that's going on. I mean, and look at America. We come into America and we take the heart spirits, which are the American Indians, and we just kill them. We take the will polarity, the emotional people, which are the black people, and we enslave them. What's going on? It's the same pattern. And then we deny it. Well, America's great. We didn't kill more American Indians than any other mass. Those are heart spirits, people who connected to the land, connected to the mother, and they're the mother spirits, Mother Earth. We are part of Mother Earth. That's her children. Those are the heart spirits. They got killed. Boom, 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 boom. By the same pattern of denial and trauma and stress all the time, while the Europeans are looking good, the kings are looking good, they have power, and you see all this kind of how every castle is a little godhead, every seat of government is a little miniature godhead, right? That's looking good. And the suffering's always out there. Suffering's always down in that invisible place where the mother's still falling. Yeah. And heart can never, anytime heart tries to speak up, it gets slapped back down, it gets hurt, it gets traumatized. So heart never has had a chance. There's heartlessness in every single thing that happens bad on this earth. There's heartlessness where heart cannot stand, cannot bear. And heart now has issues too, because he's seeing this stuff going on between the father and the mother, the light and the dark, and he's torn apart like a child of divorced parents, or when you see domestic violence, and that's your image of what love is supposed to be in the home. And so you can see just from this pattern of the first creation, how that's just fucked every human being on this planet, pretty much.
Well, I had told you this before, to hear this story and have it jog deep core memories. And mentally, to kind of understand this, that this vibration of denial, this is a core energy. And I remember when I went through that history train, and I remember going through that, and I was seeing, I was able to be and feel everything that was going on about me. And I could see exactly where we were, by one little action, everything switched to a lower vibration. And then down the road, people don't even know why they're doing things. And it was all because of something that happened right here. But when I got through that whole episode, I saw me come out and I was aglow. And it was one of the things that it did for me was being judgmental. It's just because you don't know. You just don't know all the facts. If you knew all the facts like I had seen them, you couldn't judge people for it because they didn't know. Okay, so
they don't know the name of the dog that's biting them.
Yeah. And really, with a little bit of knowledge, what most people think is mystical or mythology or too off world. Well, a little bit of knowledge makes sense out of everything.
Yeah, yeah. Once you take your consciousness and look down inside to what the feelings are, and then feel the pattern of the feelings, and it goes, oh, that's what's happening out here. That's what's happening in there. That's and it connects the dot. Life is vibration. So wherever you vibrate the most, wherever you vibrate the most, is you have the most life. And when Mother of everything was falling and falling and falling, and her pain was so immense, that she couldn't bear it, and she didn't want any of her children. She didn't want anybody to feel that. It was compassion. She didn't want anybody to ever feel that. Mm-hmm. She wrapped herself around that pain. Now, what happened there is that was death. That was what death is for human beings. It is this pain, this vibration that cannot be expressed. And because it cannot be expressed and it's being held by a death grip, so it cannot move. It takes, as you live, it takes more and more will polarity of the mother's energy to hold that from being felt. And so it takes the vibration that you have when you're young, and your vibration slows down, because whenever the vibration gets close to that absolute stillness that's clutching onto death, it slows that vibration down and slows that vibration down. And that's how we experience old age and death. It didn't really happen until the trauma thing started happening, and started focusing in on the trauma, and on the planned trauma, and then the stress, and then the denial. Okay. Before that, like a couple 100,000 years ago, it was very common to live 1,000 years, 1,500 years. You really lived until you thought, well, okay, this body's getting kind of tired, and we've a great partnership. Now, you know what I'm saying? You kind of go when you want to go. But after that, when it started focusing in on the pain of the mother, is as a core issue for all beings. And by traumatizing the mother over and over again, in reality, it made her focus more and more on not letting that trauma out to her kids. But doing that took our vibration from thousands of years down to like 40 years, you know. That's all we could handle. And everything we're doing now is trying to, everybody wants to increase our vibration, increase our energy, increase our expansion. We're trying to pull that energy back up out of death, you know? So I'm just throwing that out there to show you how this one pattern that happened in the first creation affects everything. And it's so simple, such a simple little thing. The storyline is very simple, and yet the profound implications just keep going. Yeah. So there's death and denial and self-hatred and bad self-image and limitations and denial of the spirit world. And okay, now I'll get to something that's a little bit heavy, and I'm sure your audience is going to not say this guy's right off the deep end. Every fucking human being on this planet has fucking huge rage, absolute powerful rage, peel the paint off the fucking wall rage towards God the Father. Everybody hates that motherfucker. They hate him, hate him, hate him, hate him, and they deny their hatred, and they go, I love you, I love you, I love you. God. So we got this, you know, look what you did to my mother. Look what you did to the creation. Look what you did to, how come everybody's in pain? How come there's suffering? How come there's people dying of hunger? How come there's people living on the street? How come there's disease? And it's you that did it. Right. We know that it was he that did it, and he's denying it. And he denies it, we deny it, and so we have denied rage towards God. We have rage towards God and we deny it. Well, I'm a good Christian. I'm a good Muslim. I'm a good, I'm a good whatever it is. And I thank you, we're humble. And so we humble ourselves down. We deny our rage, which is that vibrational frequency of love, and fix the world. We denied that. I'm a humble servant of your fucking asshole. You are. You're a fucking cunt. You know, you don't, you know what I mean? So what do we have? We have passive aggressive fucking human beings. And in Christianity, the passive aggressive motherfuckers like I ever saw. If you don't go to hell, right? You're gonna go to hell. What? Where's the love in that? Passive aggressive motherfuckers. You know, they want to put you in hell. If they possibly can figure out a way to put you in hell, that's what you deserve, because you didn't love God. They hate God's guts, man. Are you kidding me? It's like Halloween going to church. You dress up like you're nice, and then you hate God, and then you put a smile on your face and go home and beat your kids and wife. Well, I'm being dramatic, and maybe I'm overdoing it, but that's a fundamental reality. So we have this love. We have, you know, it's like if we love our mother and hate our father, yeah. But because we can't hate our father, we deny our hatred for our father, and our father hates our mother, so we have to hate our mother to love our father. That's our condition. We don't have the mother goddess. We don't have the great dark. We hate darkness. Hate. Oh, darkness, the dark night of the soul. You don't want to get the darkness. The darkness is the dirtiest dirt. What? What? It's your mother. You were born out of darkness. She feeds the light. She feeds the light of the world. The light of your life came from the darkness, and you hate that? Luciferian, hate it. Hate. Hate, hurt, hate, deny. Yeah, see how crazy it is?
Right.
See how crazy it is?
So those are just vibrations that are within us.
Yeah. Unexamined, unfelt, and unexpressed. Therefore, it has the power of the subconscious, which is 30,000 times more powerful than our conscious mind. We don't stop war. Why do we not stop war? We're glad to have it because it gives God a fucking black eye. Look at what that motherfucker's doing now. He's got war going on continuously. What kind of a God is he? It's like passive aggressive. Yeah. So we're not gonna protest the war. Don't even acknowledge it. Completely deny it. And who's getting hurt over there? Women, children.
Right.
So anyway, that's that one. Not that one, but that whole coming into creation. And the same thing with mothers having pain at childbirth.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. You know, some women don't, but it's that when she was dying and the pain, and she was going to give birth, so that there's that moment of sexual pleasure, and then there's the pain of birth, and then there's a longing, and all those patterns are in that original story.
Mm-hmm. You know, you can sit and listen to this story, and I can so clearly see the unconscious patterns of relationships on this planet. Because what you're describing is almost sounds like, you know, how the lady bitches about her husband, and you know how the husband just doesn't care. He's just, I mean, typically, and
man doesn't want to get married, doesn't want to commit.
Yeah.
So he might get her pregnant and leave her.
Yeah.
That's the same thing.
Yeah. And people don't even realize that is a vibration within them it doesn't even matter how you were raised or what jobs you had or what church you went to or anything. It's in there. It's already in there.
In your subconscious. Working away. Yeah, just like a woman who goes and she sees her mother and father fighting and father beating a mother, and that traumatizes her, and she goes out and gets a man, and he beats her, right? So she gets the man to beat her, even if she has to force him to beat her, because of that original pattern, and that's what love is. That's what your home is. That's what love is. It's the love. That her impression of what love is the man beating on her because she's, you know, something wrong with her.
Mm-hmm. Mhm.
And then she won't leave him because that's connected to this whole God thing. He's the God. He's the only source of love, the only source of light. You see?
Right.
That's there too. You can just go on because it's such a simple pattern and it drives us so many things. But like I said, this is the pattern that the lower lords used against us and amplified it and made it worse. If you look in nature, you have other patterns. Trees don't do this. Rain and sun don't do this. The four-legged creatures, they got other things going on, but it's not like this. I mean, they have the men fight and, but in the herd mentality, all this different other kind of stuff. But in general, this kind of thing does not happen in any other creature on earth. Only us that have this particular pattern. Mm-hmm. So although the pattern is real, I mean, it's actually happens. It's not real. It's not the actual reality. It's not. It doesn't. It's because of the denial. Mm-hmm. It doesn't encompass the full scope of what is. Mm-hmm. And we are in that. We want that full scope, not just that one slice of the pie that is only bad and only painful and only stressful and only have to be a slave or you have to be downtrodden or have to be abused or not heard. You're not heard. Mm-hmm. Does our government ever listen to us? No. They don't acknowledge us. That's that not heard. Yeah? The American Indians aren't being heard by the government. The law doesn't hear you. See? It's the same kind of thing. So you're dying over here and nobody's hearing you. People dying in the street, nobody hear you. Father wars, police murdering black people in the street. It's the same thing. Black people representing the children of the mother. Whatever's close to her gets killed, gets hurt, gets diminished, gets imprisoned, gets eliminated, gets pushed away. So anyway, that's enough. I think that's enough of this topic. But this is why, like I've made 26 videos on language lessons of the heart. I haven't talked about this because it's just too heavy duty. If people can just if you can take care of your mom and pop stuff. I was traumatized as a kid, or my dad was an absentee dad. Well, absentee dad is an absentee God. So if you can actually take care of your actual mom and pop stuff, that traumatized you or hurt you, if you can take care of those patterns authentically and deeply, then that same pattern ripples all the way out to your higher self, and then all the way out to the God self, and all the way out, to the original creation, if you do it right. So in a way, I'm kind of glad we got a chance to talk about this because there's a healing intent. In World War I and World War II, when God, the energy of this, when God saw what was going on in World War II, he said, I am responsible. And this is what's happened from the time of World War II until now, is when he woke up and said, I now see my involvement in this. See? And from World War II until now, that's why things are speeding up. From World War II until now, he did his internal work, his emotional healing work. That's where all the psychologists came from, and Sigmund Freud, and all the masters and teachers and all this kind of stuff just fell out into the 1930s and 40s and 50s and 60s, and all the gurus and all the healing, and John Bradshaw and Wayne Dwyer and all these guys are like, it's because he was recovering himself and he's recovering his mother. So on that level, he's like big time. He's like, I see and he's taking responsibility. So in a way, the pattern's already changed. What we're doing now is we have to resolve our inner issues, and we are the final manifestation of that healing. So whether you go fast or whether you go slow, it should all be over by, listen to the date. When you hear the date, 2038, should all be pretty much done by 2038. Whatever it is, 18 years from now. We got a lot of work to do, but then by 2038, there's going to be absolutely no denial left on the planet, really, which is kind of marvelous. It's kind of outstanding.
Absolutely. let's take a break and we'll come right back and talk about language lessons of the heart.
Okay. I get boom, boom, boom. You get the full brunt of it. What's going to go to everybody goes to you first. A nice place to be.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'll probably need a nap after this interview, but but it's a good thing.
So you want to talk about how language lessons of the heart is going to save the day?
I'm ready to hear that. We've learned that denial is an original feeling, original vibration.
Oh man, and it was God's thing,
And it was a God thing, and then
we got it.
We've learned that a fucking broken heart is original. I mean, dang. No wonder we're considered such amazing beings to come, down here into this and try to make things better. I mean, gee, many Christmas.
That's a good. And you wonder why people are having such a hard time down here, because like I said, this only happens on planet Earth. That's because we've been manipulated by people who want power over us, and being tenderoni little spirits, we kind of went along with it for way too long.
Right. So now how did language lessons of the heart come about? How did that all start coming to you?
Well, I came in 1950, and if you remember, that's when it was before that, in World War II, when God the Father said, wait a minute, I have involvement in this, and he came out of denial. And so that was before, that was like when the hippie movement happened, the peace and love movement happened, and we stopped a war. Remember, we stopped Vietnam War? That was the only war in the fucking history of the world, as far as I know. So there was like a lot of people came with that, let's get back to nature and free love, and of course we got sucked back into it because that denial is very powerful. And if you don't know the thing about denial is you don't know what's happening. So that means you can't reach it, you can't connect with it. So it's in denial, it's invisible to you. And there was a lot of people. I'll give you something to think about. Before World War II, one of the things that they did was, it was religion, and in India and in other places there was Buddhism and Hinduism, and there was like thousands and thousands of gurus, and the whole idea behind that was more light, less mind, more light, become enlightened. It was that whole momentum, right? So we've had like 200,000 years of people trying to meditate their way out of this. And what happened? It's got worse, because you can't meditate your way out of it by light alone. That's not what the problem is. The problem is not in the light. The problem is in the darkness of the emotional body. So that's why this change happened and I got picked on. I had been many, many lifetimes follower of gurus and wizards and people, pharaohs and those priests. And I was kind of like a follower, professional follower. Anyway, I got picked on to come down here. My job was, I guess you could say indigo or what. Recording.
Okay, I think we're good. Okay, are we back? Yeah.
So I got picked on to come down here, and I had a task, and my task was to find out how people got hurt, how and why people got so hurt, so damaged, and were in so much denial and pain and suffering, and how to fix it. But it actually took me about 3 lifetimes to get damaged enough to, so I was pretty shot out. When I got to this lifetime, I was pretty shot out. And I was kind of in this place. But because of the whole guru things, I've actually met 4 enlightened men, and I had this really great, powerful, light spirit side and concentration. So growing up, that's how I mean, when in my 20s and 30s, that's what I did. I was a follower of a guru, and I just did intense meditation. I guess you could say I was in like you can have a tradesman enlightenment, like a working man's enlightenment. You can have, so you could say that if you want, but everything you read about in Paramahansa Yogananda, I've experienced all that stuff and more. So anyway, but then my emotional body was shot out, world-class bad self-image. Girlfriend at the time left me, and we had a fabulous house, living in Ireland, living in America, living, world traveler and all this kind of stuff, and had a fabulous life. And even though I was still banging nails, I had this kind of other stuff going on. But anyway, that all came crashing to an end. Midlife crisis. The cat got killed and lost my job. The girlfriend left me, is going to lose the house, and that was like the train. It's like, okay, now you had get your concentration. Now focus in on what you came here to do, which is find out why people get hurt and how to help them get better. And everything is dirt simple. Hurt people hurt people. People hurt people. Huh? That's simple. And the people who hurt you, you internalize. Now you have your abuser abusing you inside you. Yeah, that's what trauma is. Trauma is the movie still rolling of the abuser abusing you. Yeah. That's why there is no post-traumatic stress disorder, because there's no post-traumatic. The trauma is still happening. It's just happening in denial. It never goes away until you make it go away. Yeah? So anyway, I went down into my emotional body, which is where all the stories and stuff came in. It's like, I had 4 enlightened, how many people have met 4 enlightened people face to face? I spent all day with one, was a devotee of another. And great, powerful women. When I went to go do my emotional healing work, I said, woman said, I've been going, this is what's going on, I don't know what's going on. I'm a saint, I'm a saintly person, and I love enlightened God, right? She goes, you're way out of touch with your emotional body. You need to get in touch with your emotional body. And I go, what's that? What? Are you talking in code? Right. So she taught me a few things. And at the time, there was the whole primal scream thing with whatever that guy's name is, Arthur Janov. And that was going on. And so I did some primal scream work in Miami, and then I met another powerful woman. It's just like the hero's journey, where you go see the wise woman, and then she gives you the gift, and then you go off and you're ready to fight the dragons. So another powerful woman showed me how to do judgment and denial release. Everything that I teach is very ancient. I mean, I've now traced it back in my memory. It goes back to Egypt. They're fanatic about this. They held the pattern of healing in Egypt, but it got perverted later. That's when this civilization, when Egypt fell down, it was because of this denial that the pattern was in Egypt. The pattern of healing was in India, but it wasn't able to get established in India as a religion, and it kind of ended up moving up into Tibet. And those people held it. They still hold that pattern to this day. And the American Indians, not all of them, but the Hopi understood about this, and they put themselves purposely in vast, harsh places so that they wouldn't. I don't know if it makes any sense, but they took themselves, instead of the lush lifestyle, they put themselves in a harsh lifestyle and kept true to the vibrational frequency of connecting to Mother Earth. Either either you connect to Mother Earth or you die. And the other people who hold the pattern was Aborigines in Australia. They still hold this exact same pattern to this day of healing that I teach in Language Lessons of the Heart. And so the Maori and the Hawaiian have echoes of that. The Ho'oponopono is part of this. So it's very ancient. And all I have done is discover what it was by doing the work, and then worked it out into these 4 processes. And to do that, I took the concentration of a yogi, and when I went down into my emotional body, I went down in there with the concentration, and I stayed there. When you stay there long enough, then you start to have the memories come back, and you get lateral and you get deep, right? Mm-hmm. And that was what my job was anyway. I didn't even realize this until this year. Mm-hmm. I didn't even realize that until this year. That it was my task. I just thought I was healing myself, and it was like fantastic. And so I read 200 books about it, and I put this whole thing together. And I met a guy in Miami Beach named Alec Rubin, and he worked out of the Actors Studio in New York, and he would teach Al Pacino how to act when he did his emotional scenes, and that's what he did. And he was a primal therapist, and he trained the primal therapist all up and down the East Coast of the United States at the time. And I would take his classes in the summertime, and I think in the summertime, or in the wintertime, he would come down from New York, and he would do like a 1-month class. It was once a week or twice a week for a month. I did that for a couple of years, so I understood the workshop format and how to get into primal release and how to do it on a mass scale. So I put together a whole workshop and of how to do it. I did 2 or 3 workshops in Miami, and I did a couple of workshops in Jamaica. You can imagine a white guy going to Jamaica and teaching black people how to move their emotions. That was pretty wild. It's pretty wild. It's like a combination of John Bradshaw and a voodoo ritual. You can imagine that when a Holy Roller Church, people screaming all. Wow. So that's how it came to be. And like I said, but all this took it out of me. So by 1995, 1996, I was losing the house and all this other kind of stuff happened. Life started happening. But I was like even keel. By then I was even keel with resolving most of my issues. And then this whole thing came of, you're done. It's done. There's an amazing thing. So like I said one time to you before, what happens when you do all this work is nothing. You're just done. There's no pressure. There's no nothing. There's no denial. There's no big thing pushing you around. There's no guilt. There's no shame. There's no self-judgment. There's no belief. You just live your life. So then I went about living my life for another, almost 20 years until just recently when I started getting poked by some spirits that said, look, it's time. Wake up. It's time. You've been taking it easy too long. And that's where the whole Sasquatch thing came in and the spirit thing. And they're all excited about it. I mean, you would not believe me. Your audience would not believe me the amount of spirits and connections that are behind this work. But it's not just me. There are people who are doing past life healing with hypnotherapy. There are people who are doing body work, and they do body testing, and they're releasing stuff. And there's hundreds of them out there, thousands of them. And then there's people who are doing past life. There's people who are doing who've had out-of-body experiences, and there's people who've had near-death experiences. There's people, the aliens are doing the same stuff. They take you out of your body, they put you in school, they put you in a place where they can vibrate your frequency back to the authentic frequency, which doesn't have any denial, you're unlimited, has all this authentic stuff going on, you know. And they put you back in your body, and they keep doing this. So the ETs are all over it. This is what they're doing, and they work on the subconscious. So you don't have to know anything. You don't have to even know that they're taking you. They don't even want you to know. They don't want to tell you their name. They don't want to tell you where they're from, because they're there to put your vibration back in, for you to connect to vibration inside, not for you to go, oh, I'm a Palladian and my Palladian friend said this, and then you're off in another world, with a hierarchy and all that kind of stuff. 99% of the work is done without people knowing. Same thing with Sasquatch. They don't want to tell you who their name is. They don't want to mind speak with you. If you can open your heart and you can get that thing going, you can bring that life back to your heart. You don't need to know their name. You don't need to know that they're there. They'll let you know that they're there, but they're working on the heart space with thousands of people. A lot of people don't understand how powerful those beings are. Rudolf Steiner said that beings like that are archangel class earth spirits. So you got this Michael this and Saint Brandon that, or whoever these people are. You got archangel class earth spirits walking around alive right now. So it's not just me. I'm just part of the mix. I have my frequency, and I tell you, whoever does this work in my way, the way that I show, they're going to be major players, and because this has leverage. To turn something, to move a big rock, you need a lever to move it. Yeah. Because this is so simple, so precise, and so accurate that it actually moves things. And like I said, when you actually heal exactly what's going on, it goes out to your family, goes out to the community, goes out to the government, it goes all the way out to the higher realms, and it goes all the way out to the Godhead. And this is why we have thousands and thousands of different kinds of ETs here, because what we do here affects us all the way out to this whole quarter of the galaxy, whole quarter of the universe is affected by our diminishment. So we are a weed in their garden, and they really love to have their garden clean and fresh and beautiful, and that's what's going on here. They're just trying to pull out those weeds out so we can go back to the Garden of Eden, I guess you could say, or the heaven on earth, whatever it is. That's what's coming.
Right. Okay.
So anybody wants to be a teacher or a workshop, you can make money at it. I don't know if anybody knows that, but you can actually make some decent money at being a workshop leader.
Wow. Yeah, that post was, that was a great post to let people know that there is, I mean, are you still doing that? Are you still doing workshops or?
No, I'm not, I don't feel the pull to it.
Yeah.
It was too much for me to do all the work that I did to compile it all. Right. It's really now for somebody else who's younger, to be able to do that. But what I'm going to do is going to keep making videos and keep promoting it and keep encouraging people and have a group of people help and work with them to kind of prop them up so that maybe they can get strong enough to move it out. Right. We'll see, because it's new. And remember, that denial is what rules this world. So this language lessons of the heart is kind of like the antidote to denial. And it'll take as long as it takes. But like I said, a lot of spirits behind here that wants it to happen. They actually want anything to happen. They want anything to happen other than what is happening. Any movement forward, and you're going to get a blast of energy. Absolutely.
Heart Talks is an example of exactly that.
Absolutely. And I want to say a disclaimer is one shoe doesn't fit every foot. Okay, I have a very powerful, thorough, eloquent, and precise 4 processes that work. But may not be for everybody, because it does involve primal screaming, going in there and vibrating what is dying back to life, healing your inner child, doing the dark work, and then really seriously getting rid of every judgment, every denial, doing denial release, judgment release, changing your beliefs, and bringing back that love. It's the same, you're doing the exact same thing that God the Father did, taking his light, turning back down into your feminine side, which is your will, your emotional body, turning that loving light down in there and connecting. That's what you're really doing. And then from that, results happen.
Right.
It's not for everybody, but those who will, major players.
Well, healing oneself is an extremely courageous thing to do. And when you heal yourself, you're healing for everybody. Like you said, it goes out into the universe. And that's why I keep doing these shows with all these different healers, and getting this history here is just, you present it in a way that makes it so clear. And it does say why we're doing all the things that we're doing now, why we're willing to heal, why we're willing to share healings with others, and the part that you said, once you open that up and go in there, you don't even have to remember that stuff. I mean, that is the way of the universe. It is so gentle and kind. And I mean, seriously, in this aspect of us trying to heal the world and everything, they're on our side. And I'm, I feel so proud. And I can remember 20 years ago wondering if I would even be aware of what was going on in these days. Before we had computers and all that, I was still reading books here and there, and, just learning to hear and to communicate and all. And I wondered if I would be on top of it when these days came. And here I am with Heart Talks, and I couldn't be more proud, or, I feel like I'm really doing something, and I'm hanging around with the most awesome people now.
Lucky you. I wonder how that happened. I look back at my life and said, how could I even meet these people? And I was helped every step of the way. Even looking back, it looked like it was dark ages, but every step of the way I was helped. Yeah. I wanted to say, Heart Talk, language listens to the heart. It really is all about the heart, because once the loving intent goes down to heal there, it has to pass, that loving intent passes through the heart, and there's that compassion. Yeah. And so when they resolve the man and the woman, the thoughts and the feelings, and they balance in the heart, that's really where we're going, because this actually is a loving universe, and the force that makes everything actually move, what is actually the ground of being, is love. So, it is not that far away from us. It is with us all the time. It's just a matter of taking away what's not loving, right, and replacing it with what is. It's dirt simple. That's the problem with it, because we have this analytical mind. We're trying to make a big deal out of everything, but it's very simple. Children get hurt, and how simple can it have to be for children to become wounded? It's very simple, and to become healed is just as simple, just by reversing it. Right. That's the hard part for a lot of people that don't realize how simple it is. If you do the work, you will get results. Very simple. You ride the bicycle, and it won't fall over.
Michael, where can you be reached?
You can reach me on Facebook, or you can look at my videos on YouTube. Just look up Language Lessons of the Heart on YouTube, and I have links there for anything you want to see. I don't have a website. I'm not a website guy. I'm not going to write a book. I'm a carpenter, and
and an artist.
And an artist and creative and video maker, and you can say all that kind of stuff, but really, there's books in this. If somebody wants to get into this and write a book, there's some great material in there.
Right.
I give you one more thing, one more way of looking at it. When I was doing my meditation back in the early '80s, you have this realization that we are all one, or everything is love. That's a simple thing, right? But I was doing meditation and listening to gurus and hardcore spiritual path. I started off with 6 hours a day of meditation and working full time, hardcore. That dropped off real quick, but that realization is everything is love, or everything is one. That's a 45-year realization. You realize it, and you realize it, and you realize it, and you connect to it, and you see it from another way, and the implications hit you again and again, year after year. So the simpler it is, right? That's why I'm saying language lessons are hard. It's brutally simple. But the simpler it is, the more implications it has, the more it connects to everything. Yeah? That's kind of another way of looking at it. If you people want to do a sophisticated psychological way, it's not sophisticated, it's not psychological at all. It's like cleaning your house. It's like washing your car. It's simple.
When I was doing my paintings, I would start getting real detail-y about certain parts of it. And the voice clearly would say, no, that's not what this is about. Put your energy back into it. Because it was about putting my energy into the painting. I wanted people to feel the energy that I felt when I was experiencing it, or as I was putting that healing energy into it.
I saw a whole bunch of your paintings on Facebook. They were like, whoa, that is a whole reality she was talking. She was, I said, she actually went there. That's a place that she's been. Very, very, I don't know, nourishing. That's nourishing to see, light coming out of your head, being in other dimensions. And we got all that coming too. There'll be a time in this lifetime when there'll be people who actually know how to shimmer in and out of this reality and come and go at will, like we used to be able to.
I hope I'm one of the first.
Well, it has to do with filling your heart with light. If you can do that, that's what you do. You fill your heart with light, and then it overflows. Then you fill your whole body up with light, so it's light into the heart. Then it's just a matter. Once your body hits that frequency of that love vibration, it matches the love vibration of the universe, and you can shimmer out. That's the way I was shown to me. I haven't done it. Got my legs to disappear once, but just for a second. So that's coming. All the stuff that we want is coming. It's already in the works.
Yeah.
But it's going to become to those who work at it.
Yes, that's for sure. That is for sure.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for hosting.
Yeah, thank you. And we're not done. That's for sure. Hey, if you can make me cry on my own show, you're coming back.
I'm sorry, I apologize for that. That's what the truth does.
That is my feelings. I take full responsibility for that, and I'm not in denial of what that was, and thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. From my heart to yours, peeps. Namaste. This is great. Thank you. I love you.
I love you too.